Good evening, everyone. This is Henry Gambell with SimplerOptions.com, and in tonight's free video, I wanted to start off by looking at the cues, because I am trying to work my current trade ideas with the idea that the world is not going to come to an end, or more importantly to say that these lows are not going to be taken out. Now, into Thursday and Friday, you could see a little bit of weakness before we get into the monthly expiration, but it's just the idea that if we can see this hold up, the basic pattern that I would like to see completed is just a retracement of this swing high to swing low, and then if you take the comparison of this low against this high, you'll see an interesting relationship between those two. So once you can kind of see that basic idea, then you like to put the level on top of it and say, where do we actually see these points come into play? So today you can see that we failed at the 382 retracement, so as of now it is still holding resistance, but what's interesting to me is when you overlap this rally that preceded the decline, look at the confluence of that area with your 618 retracement. So it's not to say that we're going to rip up here and go to new highs, but can we work off some of the anxiety that the market has seen and drift up into this area? That is what I am working with. So if that idea is going to come through, there's a couple areas that I'd like to try and participate in it. One of them is Amazon. And Amazon's been a little bit back and forth here today. It didn't have the best close, but you can see a very interesting relationship that shows the exact same thing here. Swing high, or swing low to swing high, projected from the lows, and that very cleanly overlaps with that 618 retracement. So I'm watching Amazon for a move to the long side. I also think that Microsoft might be a little bit easier place to focus. It's definitely a cheaper stock, so it might be a little bit easier to manage. But the main idea that I want to show you here is just what happened back in here. It's the idea that with a couple of weeks prior to the earnings report and a daily squeeze, that you have the recipe that you'd like to see for a nice run into the earnings report. I especially enjoy these types of trades because they don't put any risk around the report itself, but rather try to take advantage of the anticipation into the report, exit those options before the earnings are actually released, and I'm just trying to repeat that pattern here. So I like the idea of trying to catch Microsoft and Amazon to the long side. Microsoft will probably be the easier of the two, and then a third component here with Intel. So in Intel, and I've been in this one for a while, I like the way it's acting better here over the course of the past 2 days, but it's the exact same concept. You have a squeeze, you have about 2 weeks here before we get into the earnings report, and I think that this could be a place where if the markets can hold on, look to these stocks for some of your better performing trades, and also a spot where you don't have to be, you don't have to pick a delta if you don't want to. You can play it off just the rise and implied volatility, and I think these will be some good names for those types of trades. One last spot to have a quick recap. In these free videos I've also been discussing gold, and with the move up that we saw today it was probably worth mentioning. I still think that this is a perfectly viable trade. I think you can still get long it provided you have enough long enough a duration and a big enough outlook on this. But I like the way that you've got this major 1272 that takes us up into 137 on the ETF. If you can clear the highs back here from 2016, then we should have a much easier path on into that target. So I hope the analysis is helpful, gives you a couple different places to look at some trades this week. I also wanted to make sure that you are aware of the free webinar that Bruce is going to be doing. Now this is next week on Tuesday, April 17th. The webinar will get started at 7 p.m. Central, and we'll go through some of the straddles and strangles that Bruce has been working with in this environment, and I think it'll be very helpful. So have a great rest of your evening, and we'll see you at the next free video.